ancient granite peninsulas cut deep into the South Atlantic, where powerful oceanic winds constantly sweep over the rugged coastal cliffs, keeping the ambient air temperate and crisp. The Cape of Good Hope, South Africa. Driven by intense trade winds, the freezing Benguela Current surges upward from the abyssal depths, generating a massive coastal upwelling zone. This deep water engine pumps nutrient-dense nitrates directly to the sunlit surface, feeding a vast marine food web while keeping the coastal air crisp, wild, and perpetually temperate. Nestled along this breezy coastline is Spheniscus demursus, the African penguin, the only penguin species endemic to the continent. Even in cool ocean winds, intense physical exertion can cause overheating. Above their eyes, pink featherless glands act as vascular radiators, flushing warm blood to the surface to be rapidly cooled by the sea breeze. Unlike their Antarctic relatives built for sub-zero blizzards, Spheniscus demursus has adapted to temperate coastal life. Highly social and strictly monogamous, they form dense colonies where intense family bonds are forged. Amidst this crowded community, maternal devotion is the ultimate anchor where every call, defense, and sacrifice is driven by the instinct to keep their offspring alive. High energy demands force the mother toward the sea. Unsuited for land, her short legs burn triple the energy of a normal predator just to walk. Every step is a heavy physical sacrifice. Reaching the ledge, she pauses to calculate the waves and scan for predators, carefully weighing the deadly risk before making her move for her chick. Beneath the surface waves, in the dim blue depths of the pelagic zone, a female great white shark Carcharodon carcharias rests after an exhausting gestation. Unlike most fish, she gives birth to live young, completing an 11-month internal development cycle in total seclusion. A litter of neonates, under 1 meter long, emerges with fully mineralized jaws and functional dermal denticles. Without postnatal milk, maternal investment is paid in blood and energy, the mother relentless in her hunts to fuel embryonic growth, choosing deep seclusion to deliver her litter away from predators. Suddenly, an anomalous rogue wave driven by deep ocean swells colliding against coastal shelves crashes violently over the rocks, sweeping the penguins into a chaotic vortex of churning white water. Beneath the surface, the aquatic chaos triggers a sensory explosion. The mother shark's ampullae of Lorenzini detect the low-frequency electrical impulses and kinetic turbulence, transforming distant splashes into an unmistakable directional beacon. Driven by severe postpartum metabolic deficit, her exhaustion vanishes. Leaving her vulnerable neonates safely in the quiet shallows, she abandons maternal seclusion and initiates a high-speed vertical ascent, utilizing powerful caudal oscillations to bridge the water column. Rocketing upward at peak velocity, she breaches the surface trajectory. With jaws agape, lined with replaceable serrated teeth, she executes a calculated ambush from below, transforming the penguin's fatal fall into a lethal intersection of two evolutionary worlds. Utilizing rigid, flattened wings as hydrofoils and webbed feet as rudders, the surviving penguins burst through the surface turbulence, escaping the ambush zone through explosive burst acceleration and erratic evasion paths. Returning ashore with crops laden with schooling pelagic fish, the mother initiates an immediate physiological transition, regurgitating predigested, nutrient-rich lipids to fuel her chick's rapid metabolic growth, successfully completing a high-risk evolutionary cycle of endurance, sacrifice, and generational survival. The mother transfers nutrient-rich fish directly to her chick, delivering the essential caloric intake required for its rapid cellular and physical development. As dusk descends over the coastal granite, the fading sun paints the horizon and temperatures drop sharply. This triggers behavioral thermoregulation as the colony settles into the long night, marking the completion of another demanding cycle where every hunt, escape, and maternal sacrifice ensures that life on the edge endures. Sikhote-Alin, the Russian Far East. Here, the northern taiga collides with subarctic frost. Temperatures plummet to -40 degrees Celsius. Winter in this mountain range is not merely a season, it is a metabolic crucible. To survive, every organism must ruthlessly optimize its thermal economy. The snow layer is both an executioner and an insulating shield. Sikhote-Alin, a deep freeze where survival dictates a radical biological response. The reindeer engineered to withstand the thermal drain. Their coat is composed of hollow hair shafts, trapping air to create an absolute vacuum of insulation. The muskox adheres strictly to Bergmann's rule, a massive body with a low surface area to volume ratio to minimize heat loss. The white wolf, the apex tactical predator of the tundra, operating as a singular superorganism. Weighing a ton, the bison uses hypertrophied cervical vertebrae to bulldoze through the snowpack. To conquer the thermodynamic nightmare of Sikhote-Alin, motion itself must be redefined. Navigating this frozen void, the reindeer herd relies entirely on flawless biomechanical engineering. Upon impact, their crescent hooves splay outward, instantly functioning as biological snowshoes. Beneath the skin, a network of elastic tendons acts as kinetic springs, absorbing and firing energy with every stride. It is a masterclass in locomotive efficiency, propelling them across the deep powder with near-zero caloric leakage. The atmospheric pressure plummets. A katabatic storm sweeps across the taiga, driving the wind chill down to a lethal -50 degrees. Visibility drops to absolute zero. The thermodynamic tax on every living organism instantly doubles. In Sikhote-Alin, life is not a right. It is a strictly audited equation of caloric reserves, metabolic output, and the merciless laws of thermal equilibrium. When the metabolic fires finally extinguish, biology unconditionally surrenders to physics. The fallen become nothing more than frozen carbon structures, their residual energy slowly reabsorbed by the indifferent mountain. Into the teeth of the blizzard, the Wapiti herd presses forward. To combat the lethal wind resistance, they adopt a strict aerodynamic drafting formation. Yet, amidst the blinding whiteout, the remaining fauna anchor themselves against the vortex, pushing their metabolic engines to the absolute brink in a defiant standoff against the ice. A subtle shift in the air currents introduces a heavy, carnivorous vector. The prey do not need to see the predator. Their olfactory receptors have already confirmed the arrival of an inescapable apex threat. The localized ecosystem has detected a massive, 300-pound anomaly moving flawlessly through the powder. The katabatic winds show no mercy, but the Amur tiger remains anchored. At rest, her massive muscular furnace operates in idle mode. She is burning through critical lipid reserves for one purpose only: to maintain a core basal temperature of 38 degrees Celsius against the -50-degree onslaught. But this thermal shielding comes at a catastrophic metabolic cost. A tiger of this magnitude requires a massive caloric intake just to sustain its engine. Inaction is not a strategy. It is a countdown to starvation. The blizzard hasn't trapped her, it has forced her hand. Preparing for a zero-visibility kinetic strike requires complex sensory recalibration. The tiger's vibrissae, the highly sensitive facial whiskers, act as a tactile radar, detecting microscopic shifts in air pressure. She is actively filtering the chaotic frequency of the storm, isolating the faint, low-frequency acoustic signatures of struggling prey. Through the localized whiteout, a secondary predator navigates the thermodynamic wasteland, the Eurasian wolf. It moves at a deliberate, low-output trot to minimize caloric burn. Its paws, functioning as thermal insulators, barely compress the powder. The wolf is operating on a severe energetic deficit. Every step without a kill pushes it closer to metabolic failure. That is, until a sudden shift in the biting crosswind delivers a faint, isolated chemical signature to its olfactory receptors. The warm, metallic scent of freshly spilled blood. Suddenly, its forward momentum ceases. The olfactory bulb, packed with millions of receptors, has intercepted a microscopic vector, a thermal signature hidden within the drift. The Arctic hare. As the wolf slowly positions its mass for a downward kinetic strike, it falls into neurobiological tunnel vision. The predator's auditory cortex locks exclusively onto the faint, rhythmic respiration of the hare. But this absolute fixation creates a fatal blind spot. In its meticulous effort to shift its weight, the wolf fractures a hidden layer of subterranean ice. A sharp, macroscopic acoustic snap shatters the silence. The wolf, consumed entirely by its subterranean ambush, is completely oblivious to the shifting hierarchy. It does not realize that its status has just been violently downgraded, from apex hunter to target. Relying entirely on cryptic coloration, the hare's pelage blends seamlessly into the snowpack. The wolf lowers its center of gravity, shifting into a stealth approach. Beneath the relentless, driving snowfall, the stage is set for a brutal and inevitable confrontation over those critical, life-sustaining calories. Relying entirely on cryptic coloration, the hare's pelage blends seamlessly into the snowpack. The wolf lowers its center of gravity, shifting into a stealth approach. Stealth is abandoned. Driven by a critical caloric deficit, the wolf shifts to brute mechanical excavation. Its forelimbs act as biological shovels, displacing compacted snow at a frantic rate. This anaerobic exertion demands a massive surge of oxygen, elevating its heart rate to maximum capacity. In its desperate bid to unearth the prey, the predator becomes completely blinded to anything outside its immediate kinetic objective. From the periphery, the Amur tiger silently processes the chaos. The tiger is the absolute embodiment of thermal and kinetic efficiency. While the wolf rapidly depletes its finite energy reserves, the tiger remains anchored. The tiger's binocular vision calculates the exact interception geometry. The tiger is no longer tracking a microscopic scent. The tiger is actively locking onto an exhausted, high-value target that has effectively trapped itself. The taiga snowpack becomes an arena of intense biomechanical contrast. Driven to the brink of metabolic failure, the Eurasian wolf abandons all caution. The wolf utilizes its forelimbs as biological excavators, violently burning through its final anaerobic reserves to breach the subniveum layer. This singular kinetic obsession causes a complete cognitive collapse, blinding the wolf to its macro environment. The structural integrity of the subniveum refuge finally fails. The Arctic hare is forcefully ejected to the surface. The breach immediately triggers a fight-or-flight endocrine response, flooding its cardiovascular system with adrenaline. Its hind legs, densely packed with fast-twitch muscle fibers, execute an explosive kinetic launch accelerating to 60 kilometers per hour in seconds. The localized ecosystem violently erupts into a multi-tiered thermodynamic chase. As the wolf tears into its fresh kill, its body redirects all energy inward. Blood rushes away from its senses to fuel digestion, locking the predator into a temporary state of oblivion. Blinded by the meal and deafened by the crunch of bone, the wolf has no idea its victory has just created its greatest vulnerability. But the taiga grants no reprieves. The Amur tiger closes the distance. Moving 300 kilograms of raw power in absolute silence is a masterpiece of evolution. With perfect precision, the tiger places its hind paws exactly into the tracks of its front paws, erasing its own acoustic footprint. The stealth phase abruptly ends. The Amur tiger erupts from the snow, unleashing a terrifying kinetic assault. Accelerating to over 50 kilometers per hour in mere seconds, 300 kilograms of muscle and bone become a living missile. The wolf, completely caught off guard by its own meal, has zero time to react. This is not a chase, it is an execution of raw physics. The impact is devastating, but the Eurasian wolf is a resilient survivor, instinctively fighting back with desperate ferocity. However, the biomechanical mismatch is absolute. The tiger's massive forelimbs, armed with retractable claws, grapple and lock the prey, neutralizing the wolf's mobility. Every thrash of the wolf is met with an overwhelming counterforce. In the brutal mathematics of the taiga, willpower cannot overcome a 3-to-1 weight advantage. The climax of the struggle arrives. The tiger's jaws, capable of generating over 1,000 pounds of bite force, finally lock onto their target. A precision strike to the cervical vertebrae severs the spinal cord, inducing immediate paralysis. The desperate struggle ceases. As the snow dust settles, the Amur tiger reclaims its ultimate prize, not just a meal, but its undisputed title as the apex lord of the mountain. Ravens, the ultimate opportunists of the taiga, sound their requiem. Their echoing cries are not mourning the dead. They are an acoustic broadcast, signaling a newly available caloric surplus to the rest of the flock. As solar radiation fades, the lethal temperatures of Sikota Alin plummet once more. But tonight, the monarch of the snow breathes easily. In this brutal equation of energy and ice, equilibrium has been violently restored. As the Earth shifts its axis, the Serengeti sheds the heavy cloak of night. Dawn here is not merely a sunrise. It is a biological trigger. The sudden spike in thermal radiation resets the survival clock of millions. For the grazers, the first light offers a fleeting illusion of safety. But in this 3-million-year-old theater, visibility is a double-edged sword. Driven by an ancient biological imperative, an expectant female severs her ties with the safety of the mass. The first contractions have begun. Every ancient instinct now focuses on the imminent birth, preparing her body for the most vulnerable moment on the savannah. Yet, giving birth alone is the savannah's ultimate gamble. The rush of amniotic fluid releases a potent chemical beacon, drifting miles downwind. The delivery is complete, but the physical transition is still underway. The newborn foal remains partially encased in the amniotic sac. This translucent membrane, which provided vital protection inside the womb, must now be shed. The mother acts instinctively to assist her offspring. She focuses directly on the tissue surrounding the foal's head. By licking and gently nipping at the membrane, she uncovers the face, ensuring the foal can comfortably take its first full breaths of air. The foal's instinctive drive to stand serves a vital biomechanical function here. As it extends its long legs and pushes upward, gravity and the weight of the fluid-soaked tissue work together with the foal's movement. This combined mechanical tension stretches and breaks the membrane, systematically peeling it completely away from the coat and freeing the hind legs for mobility. The first touch is gentle, yet driven by absolute urgency. By meticulously cleaning her foal, the mother isn't just showing affection, she is actively erasing the scent of birth, a vital countermeasure against predators that map this landscape by smell. Within minutes of taking its first breath, the foal faces its greatest test. It must conquer gravity. Its legs are disproportionately long, nearly adult-sized. This is not an accident of nature. It's an evolutionary masterpiece, engineered for immediate flight. As they nuzzle, an invisible, lifelong bond is forged. She deliberately stands between her foal and the rest of the world. In these quiet seconds, the newborn's brain takes a mental photograph, memorizing the unique barcode of its mother's stripes. The foal's initial steps are unsteady, but it adapts with remarkable speed. Zebras are a precocial species, born with a highly developed nervous system. Continuous walking forces blood into the foal's long legs, rapidly reinforcing the muscle coordination required to run. The mother dictates the pace, continuously assessing her foal's stamina. She is deliberately navigating her offspring out of the dense brush, taking the first calculated steps toward reuniting with the protective numbers of the herd. The shift in the wind carries the scent of the newborn foal across the savannah. A pride of lionesses intercepts this chemical signal. Their olfactory system is highly specialized, allowing them to determine the exact direction and approximate distance of their potential prey without visual confirmation. To close the distance undetected, the lionesses rely on physical adaptation. Their tawny coats blend seamlessly with the dry grass. They move in a coordinated formation, spreading out to flank the mother and her single foal. Soft, thick pads on the bottom of their paws absorb the impact of their weight, enabling them to navigate the dry terrain in near silence. The pride's strategy is dictated by their biology. Lions possess limited stamina for long pursuits, requiring them to minimize the distance before initiating a sprint. They collectively target the young foal, analyzing its unsteady movements and lack of top speed, identifying it as the highest probability target. The mother zebra continues to monitor her surroundings, but the lead lioness initiates the strike. Utilizing the massive fast-twitch muscle fibers in her hindquarters, she accelerates from a standstill to 60 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. The zebra's sensitive ears catch the sound instantly. Panic ripples through the herd like a shockwave, and they immediately scatter in terror. But this frontal assault is a calculated trap. By triggering the stampede, the lioness is purposely herding the panicked zebras straight toward the rest of the pride waiting in ambush. In this blinding dust and chaos, the young foal has only one lifeline. It must perfectly copy its mother's every move, or be left behind. At top speed, the fleeing herd deploys its greatest natural defense, a visual illusion. As dozens of zebras sprint and weave together, their black and white stripes merge into a dizzying blur. This phenomenon, known as motion dazzle, makes it incredibly difficult for a chasing lion to judge speed, distance, or single out one individual. The choking dust of the dry savannah only deepens the predator's confusion. The pursuit forces the herd to the edge of a fast-flowing river. They are trapped between the approaching lions and the turbulent water. Driven by the immediate threat on land, the zebras make a calculated behavioral choice. Plunging into the treacherous current presents a statistically higher chance of survival. Entering the water instantly neutralizes their speed advantage. The dense current rapidly drains their stamina. Their hooves, evolved for traction on hard savanna soil, struggle to find stability on the slippery riverbed. The mass movement creates a bottleneck, pushing the animals deeper into the channel. This massive aquatic disturbance alerts a completely different apex predator. Nile crocodiles utilize specialized sensory receptors along their jaws to detect low-frequency vibrations in the water. They can pinpoint the exact location of the struggling zebras, moving in to intercept. Driven by sheer panic, they do not pause to defend themselves. They thrash violently, using their powerful muscles simply to break the water's resistance, their visual focus locked entirely on reaching the opposite bank. This reckless crossing is a brutal evolutionary calculation. By moving as a dense, chaotic mass at maximum physical exertion, they overwhelm the predator's ability to target effectively. Individual safety is temporarily sacrificed for the forward momentum of the group. Through pure physical endurance, the vast majority scramble up the bank, successfully escaping the aquatic threat. Safe on the opposite bank, the herd's collective heart rate begins to decelerate. The massive spike of adrenaline and cortisol required for the high-speed escape slowly dissipates from their bloodstreams. The river has acted as a ruthless evolutionary filter. Those remaining on this bank have successfully passed a rigorous test of physical endurance and spatial awareness. In the savanna ecosystem, peace is merely a temporary biological reset. Their sensory radars remain active, processing the wind for the next inevitable threat. Spanning across the equator lies a biological engine that has run uninterrupted for over 50 million years. Welcome to the tropical forest. Driven by constant equatorial temperatures, the rapid cycle of growth and decay transforms this ecosystem into the most productive biome on Earth. It is a theater of quiet prosperity. Apex predators emerge through the foliage, moving with biomechanical precision, where dense flora amplifies the slightest rustle. Each footstep is calculated to erase all acoustic signatures. Terrestrial herbivores emerge through the foliage, moving with biomechanical efficiency. In a biome where noise attracts danger, each footstep is carefully calculated to minimize acoustic signatures. Here, the predator and the hunted are locked in a continuous evolutionary arms race, acting as a biological regulator that maintains the complex rhythm of the jungle. In these tannin-rich aquatic arteries where optical visibility is rendered obsolete, aquatic organisms rely entirely on specialized mechanoreceptors to decode microscopic fluid displacements, mastering this turbid environment through a highly evolved hydroacoustic awareness. In these turbid depths, the red-bellied piranha operates as a specialized opportunistic predator. Evolved olfactory pits decode the water chemistry, isolating blood-borne amino acids at a mere 1 part per million. Their anatomy is a masterpiece of lethal biomechanics. Hypertrophied jaw muscles drive interlocking tricuspid teeth. This architecture generates bite forces 30 times their weight, applying catastrophic shear stress to sever tissue and bone in milliseconds. Biologically, their dense schooling acts as a defensive matrix. Yet, this formation harbors a latent, highly coordinated potential, constantly scanning the turbid water for acoustic or chemical anomalies. Moving as a synchronized superorganism, they process low-frequency hydrodynamic shifts. The swarm maintains absolute discipline, acting as a dormant strike force waiting for the precise environmental trigger. Even while simply patrolling, they assert their role as the river's ultimate biological regulators. Their continuous presence ensures ecosystem stability, a dormant engine prepared to process any organic biomass the currents may bring. To navigate these dense aquatic arteries, the school utilizes advanced fluid dynamics. By moving in a synchronized lattice, trailing individuals exploit the slipstream, minimizing hydrodynamic drag and conserving vital metabolic energy during extended patrols. Above the waterline, the riparian zone forms a critical ecotone, a biological frontier where terrestrial and aquatic biomes collide. Organisms here enter a state of calculated dormancy. They utilize solar radiation to optimize muscle enzyme efficiency, preloading their biomechanical systems for explosive kinetic output. Dominating this ecotone is the crocodile. Currently, it engages in ectothermic thermoregulation, utilizing highly vascularized osteoderms to absorb solar radiation. This process elevates its core metabolic rate, priming muscle enzymes for peak kinetic output. Submerging triggers a physiological lockdown. A cardiac shunt isolates oxygen solely for the brain, while precise lung compression achieves perfect neutral buoyancy. The crocodile vanishes into the strike zone. Gliding through the turbid water, the crocodile breaches a critical biological boundary. A microscopic epidermal tear releases a chemical signature of blood-borne amino acids, directly shattering the piranha's sensory threshold. The dormant piranha formation instantly weaponizes. Guided by hydrodynamic tracking, the fish bypass the crocodile's dense osteoderms, hyper-focusing their assault on unarmored vulnerabilities, the eyes, cloaca, and soft connective tissues. The piranha's assault is a relentless mechanical shredding process. Hundreds of hypertrophied jaws apply catastrophic shear stress to the crocodile, executing a high-speed rotational mechanism to systematically extract flesh in milliseconds. The crocodile's violent anaerobic thrashing induces rapid lactic acidosis. As its internal oxygen reserves completely collapse, the reptile is dismantled, ruthlessly processed by the piranhas, the river's ultimate biological incinerators. In a matter of minutes, the massive crocodilian is reduced to skeletal remnants. Its dense biomass is entirely assimilated into the piranha's metabolic network, a hyper-efficient transfer of organic energy. This violent dismantling is not an act of malice, but a critical ecological function. By processing the apex predator, the piranha swarm redistributes vital bionutrients back into the aquatic food web. The turbid waters return to a state of active tranquility. In this ruthless biome, survival is dictated by biomechanical perfection, where every end is simply the biological catalyst for a new beginning. The Alaskan Peninsula, a subarctic wilderness shaped by relentless katabatic winds. Here, gale-force gusts sweep across the frozen tundra, driving chill factors down to -35 degrees Celsius. On these coastal fringes, survival is reduced to raw thermodynamics. Sub-zero katabatic winds strip away all warmth, turning ambient moisture into airborne ice needles at -35 degrees. Yet, across this frozen hell, a sole survivor moves an Alaskan red fox. This devoted father is on a critical mission. Facing an uncompromising metabolic drain in sub-zero winds, providing enough high-protein lipids to maintain their core body temperature of 38 degrees is a matter of life and death. Every movement now carries the weight of a father's devotion. His whiskers harbor specialized tactile receptors, while an advanced olfactory system cuts through the storm, detecting the faint chemical signals of rodents buried beneath a meter of packed snow. But in a frozen wasteland where failure means starvation for his kits, smell alone isn't enough. Large, parabolic ears rotate independently to capture low-frequency acoustic vibrations. He is calculating the exact trajectory of a prey he cannot see, for the lives waiting in the den. Through a subniven snow pocket, the faint rustle of a tundra vole triggers the fox father's auditory system. Standing completely still, the father aligns his body along a northeast magnetic vector. The precise orientation where magnetic field mapping maximizes hunting accuracy to over 70%. Deep within a snow pocket, a tundra vole emerges, a vital primary consumer in the Arctic food web, converting sparse plant matter into high-energy fat. Detecting the subtle movement, the fox father enters a state of hyper-cautious stalking. Every muscle freezes. Any premature impulse would collapse the delicate snow crust and alert the prey. Tension mounts. The fox father creeps forward with extreme care, his furred paws treading silently on the snow crust. Tilting his head, his parabolic ears lock onto the sound while his brain maps it against Earth's magnetic grid. One wrong step will ruin the hunt and starve his family. The strike. Aligning with magnetic north for maximum precision, The father leaps in a steep parabolic arc. Driving his forelegs through the snow, his neuromuscular response, under 50 milliseconds, neutralizes the prey instantly. With no time to waste under the skin-cutting gale, he grips the catch and races back to avoid heat loss and coastal predators. Inside the haven, a brief sanctuary. The mother and kits consume the prey, converting calories into warmth and milk. No rest for the father. Leaving them safe, he steps back into the blizzard to continue the hunt. An apex rival, a solitary gray wolf, uses the roaring gale as acoustic cover, masking its footsteps right above the den entrance. Driven by winter starvation, it frantically claws through the frozen crust, intent on excavating the helpless kits beneath. Maternal aggression triggers a surge of adrenaline. Standing between the intruder and her kits, the mother fox bares her sharp teeth. Narrow subterranean tunnels level the playing field, preventing the larger predator from leveraging its massive size. Biting with blinding speed, the mother inflicts precise facial wounds on the wolf. In tight quarters, a fox's agility turns the narrow entry into a deadly hazard for an overextended invader. The wolf has lost the battle. In this unforgiving wilderness, wasting precious energy on a futile fight means risking death by starvation. Humiliated and exhausted by the unyielding defense, the beaten predator slinks away, swallowed by the blinding blizzard. Whiteout conditions engulf the tundra as a wall of ice-laden wind erases all visibility. Through this roaring white chaos, the fox father locks his sight on a flock of Arctic sparrows, hyper-alert targets, where a single, split-second error means returning empty-handed. Hunting small avian prey requires a radically different kinetic strategy. Unlike subterranean rodents, these sparrows alter their flight vectors in fractions of a second. To counter their fast wing beats, the father uses the howling wind as acoustic camouflage to close the distance. Bursting into a low-slung sprint, the father tracks their chaotic flight paths. Every muscle contracts like a compressed spring as his brain calculates their erratic mid-air trajectory. In a lightning leap, he intercepts the prey mid-flight, securing vital protein for his waiting family. Clutching his small prey, the fox father pushes through the raging snowstorm toward home. But in this unforgiving wilderness, a successful hunter instantly becomes prey. Soaring through the whiteout, a golden eagle, an apex avian predator with an 8-foot wingspan, locks onto the fox. It isn't after the bird in his jaws, it seeks the fox itself, a prize capable of sustaining it for days. Diving at speeds exceeding 150 miles per hour, the eagle transforms into a living missile. Its talons can exert a crushing force of over 400 pounds per square inch, enough to crush spinal columns instantly. Sensing the sudden drop in air pressure, the fox father's acute auditory receptors trigger a split-second evasion reflex, twisting his body to force a high-speed miss. Grounded by the blizzard, the eagle shifts tactics, using its massive wings and lethal talons to trap the fox on the open snow. But the father refuses to yield. Dropping low to protect his neck, he counters with agile lateral evasions, staying within the eagle's visual blind spot to neutralize its crushing strike capability. a battle of attrition. For the eagle, sustained combat in sub-zero winds drains critical body energy, making the risk of wing damage far too high. Realizing the fox's unyielding defense offers no quick kill, the giant raptor abandons the assault, taking flight to seek easier quarry in the freezing vastness. Exhausted and battered, but alive. Still holding tight to his hard-won catch, the father slips into the subterranean warmth of the den. Against all odds, he has survived the storm, the wolf, and the sky. Tonight, his family will feast, saved by the unbroken spirit of a father. Deep beneath the frozen tundra, heat and scent intertwine in a moment of pure reunion. The kits crowd around their father, while the mother softly nuzzles his weathered fur. Outside, the Arctic gale continues to howl, but here, within the earth, love and instinct have once again outlasted the cold. Tomorrow, the sunless wilderness will demand new sacrifices. But tonight, the fragile flame of life burns bright against the dark. Antarctica, a continent isolated by the unforgiving circumpolar current, holding 70% of Earth's fresh water within a frozen desert. Here, the cryosphere dictates all biological rhythms. During winter, the sea ice expands to cover an area larger than the continent itself, effectively doubling Earth's reflective surface. This extreme albedo effect plummets temperatures drastically, while the rapid cooling of high-altitude air generates relentless katabatic winds that sculpt the frozen topography. Yet, this freezing and dynamic matrix is far from a dead zone. Nutrient-rich upwellings driven by the ice mechanics fuel a massive hidden marine ecosystem beneath the surface. Piercing the ice canopy reveals a subglacial realm where the physical rules of survival are entirely rewritten. Here, the ocean remains liquid at sub-zero temperatures, stabilized by extreme salinity and crushing hydrostatic pressure. In this twilight zone, the base of the food web operates entirely suspended in the water column. Vast clouds of drifting microorganisms are systematically harvested by highly efficient filter-feeding swarms, instantly converting primary biomass into dense mobile protein. To inhabit this freezing abyss, the residents have evolved biochemical miracles. Many predators circulate antifreeze glycoproteins within their bloodstream, preventing the crystallization of cellular fluids while operating at a radically reduced metabolic pace. This subglacial ocean operates not as a chaotic battleground, but as a synchronized ecological network. There is no wasted motion, ensuring absolute efficiency in a resource-limited habitat. Beneath the static, frozen shell of Antarctica, a finely tuned biological engine quietly sustains the perpetual cycle of life. Vision loses its power in these dark depths. Survival now depends on an extraordinary sensitivity to water movement. Both predators and prey feel the faintest vibrations, reading invisible waves to pinpoint each other in the pitch black. On the ice, the colony acts as a single thermoregulatory unit. Tightly huddling minimizes their surface area, creating a microclimate to resist extreme heat loss. But their high metabolic rates demand constant refueling. Leaping into the freezing ocean to hunt, the penguins transform instantly. Water pressure compresses their feathers, shifting their biomechanics, turning clumsy walkers into streamlined, high-speed marine predators in pursuit of prey. Plunging into the deep triggers an extreme biological response. Their heart rate plummets from 200 to just 20 beats per minute, heavily conserving internal oxygen for a prolonged hunt. Capture is instantaneous. Backward-facing barbs inside their beaks secure the struggling catch. They consume the biomass mid-swim, maintaining a flawless hydrodynamic profile to seamlessly continue the assault. Above the waterline, there is no biological refuge. Relentless katabatic winds strip heat instantly from any exposed tissue, enforcing a brutal thermodynamic rule. In Antarctica, the surface is never a sanctuary. It is only a brief necessity. In the shadows of the ice, a completely different biological machine awaits. The seal utilizes countershading, a dark dorsal profile that renders it virtually invisible against the deep abyss. It does not rely solely on sight. Highly innervated vibrissae on its snout detect the exact hydrodynamic wakes left by the swimming penguins, tracking their spatial signatures in the water. Positioned below, it exploits the bird's visual blind spots. Locking onto their trajectory, the predator converts its massive mass into kinetic energy, executing a sudden lethal vertical strike. The pursuit ignites. The seal propels its massive frame forward, overcoming immense water resistance through raw muscular output. In open water, its top speed rivals the penguins, turning the ocean into a high-speed ballistic corridor. But the penguin holds a critical biomechanical advantage, a superior turning radius. Possessing lower mass and inertia, the bird executes hairpin maneuvers. It uses its stiff tail and flippers as hydrodynamic rudders to abruptly alter its vector. The seal's greater mass becomes a physical liability in sharp turns. However, it compensates with sheer acceleration. This relentless chase pushes both animals into anaerobic respiration. Lactic acid floods their muscles as they burn through their finite oxygen reserves. This is a contest defined by fractions of a second. Survival is no longer just about speed, but about outlasting the predator's physiological limits. In this evolutionary arms race, every micro-adjustment determines who survives and who fuels the ecosystem. The high-speed pursuit is abruptly shattered by a tectonic shift in water pressure. Low-frequency infrasound vibrations capable of traveling hundreds of kilometers reverberates through the seal's skeletal structure. Something colossal is ascending from the abyssal zone. The blue whale, the largest biological mass ever to exist on Earth. While its anatomy dictates a strict diet of krill, not seals. Its sheer scale turns the ocean into a hazardous vortex. It has arrived to exploit the exact same nutrient-dense swarms that drew the smaller predators here. Executing a massive kinematic lunge, the Leviathan unhinges its jaws. Its ventral pleats expand exponentially, engulfing up to 90 tons of water and biomass in mere seconds. The seal is instantly caught, not targeted as prey, but trapped as collateral damage within this catastrophic hydrostatic vacuum. Battling a hydrodynamic pull equivalent to a violent undertow, the seal must abort its own hunt, pushing its anaerobic threshold to the absolute limit. It uses maximum muscular torque to propel itself out of the engulfment zone, escaping just milliseconds before the dense baleen plates clamp shut. The predator becomes the fugitive. In the hyper-competitive waters of the Southern Ocean, survival is dictated not only by speed and agility, but by navigating the indifferent, overwhelming mechanics of the ocean's true titans. The light fades, and the polar night reclaims the ice. Above, a frozen, absolute silence. But below, the biological pulse never stops. In the deep dark of Antarctica, the brutal ballet of survival dances on. Stretching along the eastern coast of Africa is Tanzania, a land dominated by the vast, sun-baked plains of the savannah. Beneath the relentless heat, life carries on in a quiet rhythm, creating a fragile illusion of absolute peace. The antelopes are already on the move, gliding effortlessly across the vast plains. Their journey is a picture of quiet grace. With slender frames shaped by nature, every leap is light and rhythmic, moving in perfect harmony with the pulse of the earth. Not far away, a vast procession moves gently across the plains. The wildebeest. The rumble of their hooves sounds like the heartbeat of the earth, an eternal, peaceful cycle. Flowing with relentless grace, these wild waters carve a deep rift across the earth, a line of destiny they cannot refuse. For beneath its mesmerizing flow, a deadly test quietly waits. Right in the river, the apex predator is already in position, a giant crocodile. It doesn't chase, it calculates. Hidden beneath the murky surface, it waits for one fatal mistake. It doesn't chase, it calculates. Hidden beneath the murky surface, it waits for one fatal mistake. Thousands of wildebeest and antelopes crowd the steep, muddy banks, driven by an ancient urge to migrate, yet paralyzed by the raw, violent power of the surging currents. Panic ripples through the ranks. But the raging water is only a distraction. Below the surface, an ancient syndicate has formed, a congregation of giant crocodiles. Cold-blooded and perfectly adapted, they conserve every ounce of energy. Camouflaged against the riverbed, they form a living minefield. The ultimate ambush is set. Tension reaches a breaking point. It only takes one pioneer to shatter the hesitation. Instantly, blind herd mentality takes over. Hundreds launch themselves into the treacherous currents, completely unaware that they are jumping straight into the jaws of death. It is a chaotic frenzy of flailing hooves and panicked cries. Biologically, their hollow hair provides natural buoyancy, a vital adaptation for river crossings. But buoyancy offers no defense against what waits below. The churning rapids mask the silent, deadly approach of the apex predators. For the herd, the only focus is the opposite bank, but every second fighting the current drains their stamina. Blinded by the splashing white water and deafened by the roar of the herd, their keen senses are rendered utterly useless. They are swimming blind, offering the perfect cover for a prehistoric strike. They fight desperately to survive, but in this unforgiving river, their sheer will to live is leading them straight into the jaws of death. And the giant crocodiles do not rush. They are masters of calculating energy. There is no turning back. Propelled by the sheer weight of the endless herd behind them, thousands pour into the river like a living waterfall of flesh and bone. The water becomes instantly choked with bodies in panic. It is a spectacle of mass desperation, and for the waiting prehistoric giants, this is no longer a hunt. It is a feast delivered right to their domain. The giant crocodiles let the river do the heavy lifting. The trap has been sprung. In this brutal theater of nature, not everyone will make it to the other side. Panic erupts. The illusion of safety shatters as the river reveals its true nature. Beneath the surface, the strike is clinical and devastating. Giant crocodiles target the slender legs of their prey. A calculated tactic to instantly disable mobility, dragging them into the suffocating depths. The river turns into a boiling cauldron of predator and prey. With jaws exerting tons of pressure, the crocodiles lock on. The antelopes fight with every ounce of their being, but in this aquatic arena, raw, evolutionary power favors the reptiles. While some fall, the vast majority push forward. With one last surge, they scramble up the banks, escaping the river of death. The onslaught is relentless. The giant crocodiles execute the notorious death roll, a brutal display of biomechanical perfection. The will to live can defy the odds. In the savage theater of the savannah, surviving today is the ultimate victory. The crossing is over for these fortunate few. They have run the gauntlet and cheated death with the heavy physical toll of survival. Safety is a temporary luxury. Here, on solid ground, the herd enters a crucial phase of recovery. Families reunite. Mothers gently nuzzle their calves, verifying their survival through scent and touch. There is no time to look back, no time to mourn the fallen. In the relentless rhythm of the savannah, grief is an anchor the hunted cannot afford to carry. There is a profound resilience in this stillness. For these animals, healing is not a medical process, but a silent act of endurance. They rest not to linger, but to prepare for the miles still ahead. Soon, the chaotic energy is replaced by the peaceful, rhythmic sound of grazing. Eating is more than sustenance. It is a grounding mechanism. Each bite of grass helps rebuild depleted energy reserves and restores the tranquil rhythm of the herd. There is a profound resilience in this stillness. For these animals, healing is not a medical process, but a silent act of endurance. They rest not to linger, but to prepare for the miles still ahead. Instinct commands them to keep moving. To fall behind the herd is to invite the deadly attention of land predators. Their sheer resilience is the true masterpiece of evolution. As the golden hour descends, the African sun casts a warm, forgiving light over this harsh landscape. As the golden hour descends, the African sun casts a warm, forgiving light over this harsh landscape. Today, the river exacted its toll, nourishing the apex reptiles lurking below, but the herd endures. The Great Migration continues, an eternal cycle of sacrifice and survival, marching ever forward into the fading light. The African savanna is a vast, semi-arid biome defined by the brutal thermal dynamics of the dry season. Here, primary productivity dictates the survival of the entire trophic cascade. At the apex of this food web, a biological clock is ticking. After a gestation period of roughly 110 days, this female lion, Panthera leo, must temporarily sever ties with her pride. Isolation is a crucial evolutionary strategy to protect her vulnerable offspring from infanticide and opportunistic predators. Before parturition, elevated levels of prolactin and oxytocin induce active nesting behavior. The expulsion phase yields a litter of altricial cubs, highly vulnerable neonates born immobile and with minimal metabolic reserves. The statistical reality of the savanna is unforgiving. Biologically, up to 80% of these cubs will not survive their first year. For the lioness and her offspring, Continuous tactile stimulation serves vital physiological functions. Beyond oxytocin-mediated maternal bonding, the mother's rhythmic grooming provides mechanical friction that directly stimulates the cub's underdeveloped digestive and excretory systems. The cub's playful interactions are far from trivial. They are complex neuromuscular simulations. Through mock ambushes, they actively forge the synaptic pathways required for future apex predation. Meanwhile, the lioness maintains a hyper-vigilant perimeter, constantly analyzing chemical cues in the wind to intercept potential threats from rival carnivores. Beyond the protective brush, the savanna opens into a vast biochemical factory. The dominant flora here utilizes C4 photosynthesis, a highly efficient metabolic pathway evolved to maximize carbon fixation while minimizing water loss under intense ultraviolet radiation. This relentless engine of primary production forms the structural foundation of the entire biome. This convergence of nutrient-dense forage and accessible water generates one of the highest mammalian carrying capacities on Earth. For a lioness managing a severe caloric deficit, this hyper-abundant ecosystem is a calculated arena of thermodynamics. The savanna continuously generates the biological fuel. She must now deploy her biomechanics to extract it. Utilizing the dense riparian vegetation for optical camouflage, the lioness calculates her attack vector. The padded digits absorb acoustic vibrations, allowing for near-silent locomotion. The prey the lioness has chosen is a megaherbivore, Hippopotamus amphibius. A brutal isometric struggle ensues. The lioness launches, sinking retractable claws into the hippo's thick epidermis to anchor herself, attempting a precision strike at the carotid artery. For several tense moments, the lioness leverages her entire body mass in a desperate bid to exhaust the megaherbivore. With a sudden explosive torque of its massive cervical muscles, the hippo violently breaks the stalemate. Utilizing its 1,800 pounds per square inches bite force to physically overpower and reject the apex predator. These hydrodynamic disturbances are immediately intercepted by Crocodilus niloticus, the Nile crocodile. Embedded along the reptile's jawline are specialized integumentary sense organs, ISOs, capable of detecting microscopic shifts in water pressure. Calculating the exact vector of the mammalian distress signals, the ectothermic predator initiates its stealth protocol, utilizing bradycardia to drastically lower its heart rate. Propelled by massive axial musculature, the crocodile initiates a kinetic ambush, deploying a 5,000 pounds per square inches bite force designed to execute a fatal hydrodynamic death roll. Fueled by a sudden epinephrine surge, the lioness detonates her remaining fast-twitch muscle fibers for a lateral evasion, breaching the bank but incurring a devastating metabolic cost and severe lactic acid buildup. Micro-tears in her musculoskeletal system and severe lactic acidosis heavily compromise the lioness's biomechanics, but the thermal currents carry a biochemical lifeline: volatile organic compounds from a recently deceased carcass. Securing this abandoned biomass is a thermodynamic anomaly, a massive caloric intake with zero kinetic expenditure from hunting. Driven by the maternal imperative, the lioness secures the payload, initiating the grueling transport back to the den to convert this protein into life-sustaining lactation for her cubs. As atmospheric scattering paints the savanna in low-frequency red light, the surface temperature rapidly plummets. These photoperiodic cues officially trigger the ecosystem's nocturnal cycle. Defying the brutal thermodynamics of this biome, the lioness has successfully secured another day of cellular growth for her offspring. Morning in the rainforest, a cathedral of emerald light. As the golden hour breaks, solar radiation gently filters through a three-dimensional matrix of broadleaf canopy. The air is dry and crisp, awakening a billion stomata to breathe in the dawn. Anchored to the heart of an ancient giant, a tree slowly surrendering its legacy back to the earth, hangs a masterpiece of biological architecture, an exposed wild honeybee colony. To protect their wax citadel from the mounting thermal heat, workers beat their wings 230 times per second, orchestrating a cooling microstorm. At the slightest tremor, sentinels arm their stingers, ready to release isoamyl acetate, a highly volatile alarm pheromone. The wild is always armed. A black bear, consumed by a gnawing hunger, the apex olfactory navigator of this forest. The morning breeze carries a potent chemical signature straight to its receptors. Lipids, proteins, and concentrated sucrose. A high-calorie beacon is locked. With a nasal cavity packed with millions of scent receptors, its sense of smell is 7 times greater than a bloodhound's. It doesn't just smell the honey. It is actively rendering a 3D topographic map to the exact coordinates of the hive. The bear's jaw delivers a crushing force of over 800 pounds per square inches, tearing through the decaying branch, anchoring the hive. The bear is actively hunting the nutrient-dense bee larvae deep inside the suspended comb, a critical, high-yield protein reserve. As the suspended fortress is violently breached, the colony's alarm system triggers into overdrive. A brutal collision between raw mammalian power and insectoid chemical warfare has officially begun. That radiant chemical scent has awakened a second phantom from the jungle's deepest shadows, carrying a primal, gnawing hunger, and propelled by a ruthless caloric deficit. A master of survival steps into the light, Mellivora capensis, the honey badger. Weighing barely 14 kilograms, it faces a competitor 10 times its mass. Yet, fear is a biological mechanism largely absent from its neural circuitry. Driven by an aggressive metabolic demand for the high-octane honey, the badger initiates an acoustic assault. Its characteristic shrill hiss is a calculated psychological weapon designed to disrupt the bear's focus. High in the canopy, the bear achieves a delicate biomechanical balance. Anchoring its massive frame with curved claws that act as climbing crampons, it manipulates the hive with surprising dexterity. Using its prehensile lips and a highly agile tongue, it systematically extracts the nutrient-dense pupae from the hexagonal wax matrix. This is a crucial caloric windfall, flooding its system with essential lipids and amino acids. Pacing at the base of the tree, the badger is calculating its moment for kleptoparasitism, the ecological strategy of stealing a larger predator's prize. It can afford this extreme audacity thanks to a unique evolutionary defense, an exceptionally thick, rubbery epidermis, completely detached from its underlying muscle. The inevitable confrontation ignites, a clash of biomechanical extremes, the massive bulk of the apex bear against the unyielding ferocity of the honey badger. Without hesitation, the badger launches a direct physical challenge for the caloric prize, proving that in this ecosystem, evolutionary audacity can completely neutralize raw physical dominance. The anchor point snaps. Without structural support, gravity pulls the massive wax citadel down. It plummets to the forest floor, shattering upon impact and instantly exposed. Over 50,000 bees erupt into a dark insectoid storm. The air is instantly saturated with alarm pheromones, subjecting the combatants to a deafening acoustic and chemical assault. In the face of this overwhelming swarm intelligence, mammalian aggression falters. The sensory overload is absolute, and the biological cost of endurance now far outweighs the caloric reward. Forced to abort the duel, both predators launch into an immediate, chaotic retreat. The apex predator relies on a primal evasion tactic. Plunging into a slow-moving aquatic microhabitat, the black bear uses the water for more than just thermal relief. It is actively neutralizing the chemical markers, washing away the highly volatile alarm pheromones that guide the stings of the swarm. Despite its massive bulk, the black bear is wired with a highly sensitive flight response. When overwhelmed by a collective enemy it cannot physically fight, instinct overrides aggression, dictating immediate spatial distancing. The giant chooses self-preservation. In stark contrast, the honey badger moves with calculated ease through the chaos. Navigating the fallen timber, it seizes the perfect distraction. It snatches up a shattered piece of the honeycomb, a nutrient-dense prize won with barely any effort. The adrenaline of the retreat quickly dissolves into a much deadlier sensation: starvation. In this unforgiving wilderness, every calorie lost is a step closer to death. Standing in the icy current, the bear is driven not by instinct alone, but by a gnawing, desperate void in its gut. The river is merciless, siphoning away its remaining body heat and accelerating the metabolic drain. The bear must strike a lethal balance, freeze like a statue of muscle to avoid detection, while its internal furnace burns through its last fat reserves. Nature offers no sympathy for the hungry. It demands absolute, flawless precision. Driven to the brink, the bear unleashes a violent explosion of kinetic energy. It's a strike fueled purely by desperation. 5-centimeter claws rip through the water, acting as biological harpoons. It pins a massive, unsuspecting target to the riverbed, a life-or-death gamble that finally pays off. Water erupts as the fish thrashes violently, fighting its own grim battle for survival. But the bear's jaws, powered by raw starvation, lock shut with an unbreakable force. Dragging the heavy prize through the current's resistance, it wades toward the sandy bank. One life is brutally extinguished, so another can endure. The aquatic struggle is brief. The bear's jaws lock with anatomical precision, firmly securing the heavy catch. Clamping the fish tightly, the massive predator wades against the resisting current. With deliberate, heavy strides, it steps up onto the solid riverbank, river water cascading from its dense, dark coat as it leaves the hunting ground behind. Here, on the safety of the bank, The undeniable rule of the food web is laid bare. The bear focuses on its hard-won meal, a moment of pure survival, prioritizing the vital intake of premium biological fuel. Rich fats and proteins are instantly converted into the energy needed to endure the wilderness. In this ecosystem, hunger is the ultimate driving force, shaping a relentless cycle of adaptation just to see another dawn. In the wild, memory is an expensive metabolic commodity. There are no grudges held here, no vendettas pursued. The chaotic clashes of the day are quickly erased from neurological priorities, making way for the immediate and absolute demands of survival. Every inhabitant of this ecosystem operates on strict biological pragmatism. Yesterday's rival is irrelevant. Tomorrow's caloric deficit is the only absolute truth. In this constant struggle, survival demands that every violent encounter be left behind, as life seamlessly reverts to its relentless, solitary rhythm. For the bear and the badger, it is simply another rotation of the earth, a relentless, beautiful loop of raw survival, continuing under the fading light of the natural world. Dawn breaks over the African savannah, a sprawling theater of survival. Here, the brutal dry season dictates the rhythm of life. The heat is unforgiving, and the earth is baked to bone. They move as one entity, instinctively drawn to the delicate dew hidden within the grass. The absolute rulers of this realm are utilizing the morning chill to draw heat away from their massive, muscular frames. Every breath of the lion pride is deep and steady. By dropping their heart rate and slowing their metabolism, they minimize water loss under the impending African sun. The lions simply rest, actively repairing fast-twitch muscle fibers to recharge for the explosive hunt ahead. Known for a solitary and volatile nature, the rhinoceros mother is a formidable force. But the rhinoceros calf is a fragile prize in a land of opportunists. The survival of the rhinoceros mother relies on more than just bulk and fearsome horns. With notoriously poor eyesight, the world of the rhinoceros mother is constantly mapped by an incredibly acute sense of hearing and smell. A faint, dangerous scent has just drifted across the savannah. Unaware of the lethal predator closing in, the rhinoceros mother and the rhinoceros calf continue to graze peacefully. This false security is the perfect biological weapon for an ambush. By suddenly standing tall, the lioness deploys a kinetic visual signal, a silent, postural command synchronizing the lion pride for a coordinated tactical strike. The lioness and the lion pride advance. Specialized paw pads absorb acoustic frequencies, turning each step into a masterclass of predatory biomechanics. The lion pride is actively shrinking the kill zone, in absolute, deadly silence. The massive ears of the rhinoceros mother swivel like radar dishes. The acoustic warning finally registers the thunder of approaching paws. The lioness utilizes a hyper-flexible spine as a biological spring, maximizing stride length to rapidly close the gap. Fueled by anaerobic respiration, the lion pride accelerates to top speed, initiating a direct, high-velocity pursuit toward the rhinoceros mother and the rhinoceros calf. The acute senses of the rhinoceros mother sharpen drastically. The smell of dust, sweat, and incoming death hits the olfactory receptors of the rhinoceros mother in high definition. Following a commanding roar, the lion pride converges on the prey, a highly coordinated biological strike force, ready to execute a fatal takedown on the sun-baked plains. The lion pride attempts a mechanical takedown. Retractable claws anchor into the thick dermal armor of the rhinoceros mother. The primary predatory objective is to sever the spinal cord or collapse the trachea, but the immense cellular density of the rhinoceros mother actively resists structural penetration. The rhinoceros mother weaponizes a 2-ton biological mass. Generating massive kinetic force, the rhinoceros mother deploys a solid keratin horn as a lethal defensive ram. Simultaneously, the rhinoceros mother actively positions her frame to form an impenetrable biological shield, effectively isolating the rhinoceros calf from the strike zone of the lion pride. Predatory risk assessment shifts abruptly. A single skeletal fracture inflicted by the rhinoceros mother equates to inevitable starvation for the lion pride. The caloric cost now exceeds the biological reward. Executing a tactical withdrawal, the lion pride aborts the assault protocol. The African savannah reclaims its equilibrium. Acute adrenaline levels within the bloodstream of the rhinoceros mother and the rhinoceros calf begin to degrade. As the solar radiation fades into dusk, dropping ambient temperatures allow the rhinoceros mother to efficiently dissipate combat-generated body heat. Biological survival is secured. A realm forged in fractured stone and suffocating ice. Welcome to the roof of the world. Up here, oxygen is a luxury, and the cold is a ruthless executioner. Yet, clinging to the edge of the abyss, a herd of mountain goats, phantoms of the high alpine, navigating a 60-degree death drop as if it were a casual stroll. But surviving the extremes is only half the battle. This young goat drinks a liquid lifeline. The mother's fat-rich milk acts as a metabolic furnace. For the mountain antelope, extreme altitude is their armor. They retreat to these treacherous ridges to escape the jaws of ground-dwelling predators. Safe above the tree line, they believe they are untouchable. Enter the golden eagle, an apex avian assassin with a 7-foot wingspan, riding the invisible thermal updrafts with effortless, terrifying precision. Forced to cross deep snow, the antelope's greatest defense, their speed, is instantly stripped away. They are vulnerable. High above the clouds, the winged Terminator locks onto her target, The ambush is set. As the snow retreats, the brutal mountain reveals a softer side. This highland valley transforms from a frozen wasteland into a fleeting oasis of life. The warming sun triggers an explosion of nutrient-dense vegetation across the slopes, a temporary feast served on a grand scale. What looks like idle rest is actually hard metabolic work. They ruminate, maximizing the nutrient extraction from every single blade of grass. Emerging from months of winter fasting, the brown bear is driven by a singular, overwhelming urge, hyperphagia, an insatiable, biological need to consume. The river, it is a vital artery of life, but also a fiercely contested arena. Here, strict hierarchies dictate survival. Catching them requires explosive acceleration. Despite weighing over 800 pounds, a grizzly can strike with astonishing liquid speed. Each bear employs a distinct strategy. Some stand like statues, instinctively calculating the optical refraction of the water to gauge the exact depth of their prey. Others rely on brute force, pinning the muscular, slippery fish directly to the riverbed. In times of abundance, the bears become selective gourmets. They prioritize the skin, brains, and roe the parts richest in essential fats. Sated, the titans retreat to the shores. The frantic urgency subsides, replaced by the heavy lethargy of digestion. Driven by an insatiable biological imperative, this apex predator patrols the treacherous alpine slopes. Every calorie burned climbing must be replaced with flesh. The mountain goats detect a disturbance in the landscape. A massive silhouette breaking the horizon. The ambush breaks, accelerating with terrifying speed. The mother mountain goat and her young kid are driven to the absolute edge. They retreat onto a fragile, overhanging branch. The grizzly bear brings 1,000 pounds of lethal force, but physics is the ultimate equalizer. As the immediate threat dissipates, adrenaline slowly gives way to exhaustion. Bathed in the golden glow of the alpine sunset, the mother mountain goat and her young kid reclaim their sanctuary. In this unforgiving vertical kingdom, life is a delicate, razor-thin balance, where one calculated step dictates who lives to see another dawn. Welcome to the biological engine of the tropics. Here, the flora is heavily armored. Scattered, drought-resistant canopies employ deep taproots and modified cellular structures to hoard moisture against extreme evaporation. Across the open plains, massive herds of herbivores engage in a continuous harvest. They operate as mobile bioreactors, using multi-chambered stomachs to convert indigestible cellulose into metabolic fuel. This piece is a defensive mechanism. Eyes on the sides of their heads provide a 360-degree visual radar, while massive herd numbers drastically reduce the probability of an individual falling prey. Navigating this exposed ecosystem requires a distinct biomechanical strategy. Baboons utilize specialized quadrupedal locomotion, engineering their musculoskeletal framework to endure prolonged exposure and traverse vast distances across the open plains. Their primary defense is not camouflage, but complex social architecture. The troop operates as a highly coordinated security grid, governed by a strict hierarchy to regulate internal stress and efficiently distribute resources. As opportunistic omnivores, they are built for metabolic efficiency. Equipped with specialized cheek pouches, they rapidly harvest and store calories from grass corms to invertebrates, minimizing their time in vulnerable foraging postures. For the baboon, the troop itself is the ultimate biological fortress against the savannah. The savannah's apex guild operates on strict energetic partitioning. Leopards utilize fast-twitch muscle fibers for solitary, short-range ambushes. Lions leverage collective mass and explosive kinetic bursts to overpower heavy targets. In stark contrast, the spotted hyena engineers a completely different metabolic strategy.
The spotted hyena is an elite cursorial hunter. Contradicting the scavenger myth, their skeletal anatomy, featuring an angled spine and robust forequarters, is mechanically optimized to minimize caloric expenditure over extreme distances. For juvenile baboons, play is strictly physiological. It is an evolutionary rehearsal, hardwiring the motor skills and spatial awareness required for savanna survival. A solitary hyena registers this neural activity. Despite possessing a bone-crushing bite force of 1100 psi, it triggers a rigid risk assessment matrix rather than a blind ambush. The juveniles remain securely within the troop's defensive perimeter. Adult male baboons, armed with canine teeth longer than a leopard's, form a lethal biological barrier. Hunting here demands absolute geometric discipline. The hyena anchors itself at the boundary, conserving calories, waiting for a single spatial error to fracture the troop's integrity. The hyena's neural circuitry temporarily suppresses its predatory drive. Engaging a cohesive primate troop presents a mathematically unviable risk of catastrophic injury. The hyena operates on a strict metabolic budget. By anchoring in the thermal shadows, it conserves core energy while its auditory cortex continuously scans the troop's perimeter for statistical anomalies.
It is a biological weapon, fully primed for the strike, requiring only a single sensory trigger to unleash its kinetic payload.
The prey's panic could instantly trigger a coordinated counterattack from the adults. Patience eventually yields a geometric reward. A juvenile breaches the safety radius, severing its direct line of sight with the alpha sentinels. The biological fortress has fractured. The wait is over. The hyena initiates a complex acoustic protocol. It emits a low-frequency vocalization optimized to bypass atmospheric distortion. This signal traverses the savannah, triangulating its coordinates and summoning the clan's strike force. For the maternal baboon, carrying a juvenile introduces severe parasitic drag. The added mass disrupts her locomotor efficiency, accelerating cardiovascular fatigue.
The maternal baboon's center of gravity is critically shifted, forcing her core musculature into overdrive to maintain balance during high-speed evasion. Simultaneously, physical contact with the infant restricts thermal dissipation, driving the mother's core temperature toward critical limits with every stride. On open ground, the evolutionary mismatch is exposed. The hyena pack operates as an aerobic engine, utilizing their oversized lungs to process massive volumes of oxygen, turning the chase into a calculated war of physiological attrition. The savannah's hardened terrain becomes a hostile variable in this high-speed pursuit. Unpredictable microtopography drastically elevates the probability of a fatal kinematic failure. This is not a chaotic sprint, it is active vector control. The pack deploys a pincer movement, dynamically adjusting their pursuit angles to cut off all spatial trajectories and completely isolate the target. The baboon's fast-twitch muscle fibers cross the critical anaerobic threshold. Lactic acid floods her system, systematically impairing motor neuron functions. Her physical collapse is now dictated purely by cellular chemistry. With ATP reserves critically depleted, the electrochemical signals misfire. Every subsequent stride exponentially loses velocity, finalizing a mechanical deceleration that cannot be reversed. Cornered by the hyena pack, the geometric trap strictly closes around the mother and infant baboon. Cortisol saturates the primate's bloodstream as flight transitions into a futile defensive stand. In the savannah's unforgiving algorithm, this transfer of biomass is now mathematically inevitable. The acoustic distress signals have not dissipated in the void. Driven by the evolutionary imperative of kin selection, the main primate troop converges. This is not altruism. It is the ruthless protection of shared genetic material. Alpha male baboons spearhead the counteroffensive. Armed with razor-sharp canines measuring up to 2 inches, surpassing those of an adult leopard, they deploy a formidable biological arsenal. The baboon troop initiates aggressive mobbing, a coordinated tactical assault designed to overwhelm the hyena's sensory processing. Completely overpowered by the baboon's collective biological arsenal, the hyenas are definitively defeated. The hyenas scramble in a desperate sprint, burning their final metabolic reserves to evade fatal lacerations from the alpha male baboons. The baboon's geometric fortress is aggressively re-established, and the transfer of biomass is definitively denied. The baboons must now purge the toxic levels of cortisol from their neural pathways. To achieve this, they engage in allogrooming, a highly evolved social mechanism that triggers the rapid release of oxytocin and endorphins, chemically restoring homeostasis. This tactile interaction transcends hygiene. It is the structural glue of their primate architecture. By reinforcing these interpersonal bonds, they solidify the exact geometric matrix that just saved their lineage. Their true apex weapon is not their canines, but their synchronized neurobiology. For the defeated hyena pack, there is no psychological mourning, only severe physiological consequence. The aborted pursuit has critically depleted their hepatic glycogen stores. Lactic acid pools in their overexerted muscle tissues, and the sudden crash in adrenaline leaves them mechanically sluggish. They must now navigate the hostile terrain with a heavily compromised energy budget. The Western Ghats, a formidable topographic barrier. Here, colossal ancient trees, the megaflora of this ecosystem, engineer a complex, multi-tiered canopy. Solar radiation fractures through the dense foliage, casting intense Tyndall beams. This sharp contrast between absolute shadow and concentrated light fundamentally alters visual perception at ground level. Beneath this overarching architecture lies a hyper-competitive biological arena. The forest floor, disrupted by massive root buttresses, creates a labyrinth of acoustic and visual blind spots. Survival here is governed by spatial geometry. Predators hyper-specialize in disruptive coloration, synchronizing their movements with the shifting sun shafts to execute lethal, zero-margin ambushes. A melanistic leopard. Born with a genetic surge of dark pigment, he is a living ghost within this sun-dappled forest. Here, shadows are the ultimate weapon, and evolution has forged him into the perfect assassin. Even in the gloom, nothing escapes him. His hypersensitive whiskers are currently mapping the microshifts in the air. He isn't just looking for his prey, he is feeling its breath. Just yards away, a herd of foraging herbivores. Their ruminant biology demands constant feeding, tethering them to the open ground. But they are far from defenseless. Laterally positioned eyes offer a near 360-degree visual net. Their ears pivot independently, acting as parabolic dishes scanning for acoustic anomalies. Yet, the leopard calculates the blind spots. Approaching strictly downwind, he erases his chemical signature. The predator and prey are now locked in a silent, high-stakes game of sensory warfare. The critical distance is breached. In a fraction of a second, potential energy explodes into kinetic fury. Fast-twitch muscle fibers ignite, propelling 80 kilograms of apex predator at terminal velocity. Leverage overcomes endurance. The predator targets the ultimate biological vulnerability, the trachea. Driven by powerful jaw muscles anchored to the sagittal crest, a crushing bite seals the windpipe, depriving the brain of oxygen. Deep within the undergrowth, a contrasting narrative unfolds. A female leopard and her cubs. Born blind and almost entirely dependent, these altricial cubs represent a massive biological investment. For the mother, lactation creates an extreme caloric deficit. Her metabolic rate has nearly doubled. To sustain milk production, minor prey is no longer viable. She requires a massive influx of ungulate protein. The rapid growth of her cubs imposes an extreme metabolic tax on the mother. Yet, a fierce maternal devotion overrides her own physical exhaustion. This bond is biochemically absolute. A continuous surge of oxytocin intertwines her existence with theirs, while elevated cortisol levels drive a relentless, hyper-vigilant anxiety for their survival. The wind shifts, carrying the unmistakable olfactory signature of a fresh kill. Initiating a new hunt now risks depleting her final energy reserves. But kleptoparasitism, stealing an existing carcass, offers a high-yield alternative.
The confrontation is immediate. Feline combat is rarely a test of endurance. It is a hyper-violent exchange of fast-twitch muscle strikes. The female, supercharged by maternal endocrinology, completely overrides her instinct for self-preservation. The female leopard's claws act like sharp grappling hooks, aiming to strike muscle groups and instantly disable her opponent. Furthermore, the physical advantage is completely one-sided. The black leopard is starved of oxygen, and his muscles are still burning with lactic acid from the recent takedown. The exhausted black leopard retreats. Driven by the absolute biological imperative to nourish her cubs, the female leopard secures the prize, momentarily rewriting the apex hierarchy of the forest floor. The clash is over, but the physical toll is severe. The female leopard's respiratory rate spikes, acting as a rapid cooling mechanism to lower her dangerously high core temperature after the fight. But she cannot rest for long. The scent of blood will soon attract scavengers. Engaging her massive neck and jaw muscles, the leopard locks onto the antelope carcass. She must now drag a weight nearly equal to her own. Every step requires immense physical strength. She carefully navigates the complex root systems of the forest floor, dragging the massive antelope step by step back to her hidden den. The energy cycle is complete. The rich protein from the antelope carcass will directly fuel the rapid growth of her cubs, ensuring the leopard's bloodline continues to survive in the unforgiving Western Ghats. The mother returns to the hidden den. For solitary apex predators, this reunion is critical. The cubs actively greet her using tactile and olfactory cues, reinforcing their biochemical bond and confirming her identity after the long absence. The antelope carcass marks a critical dietary shift. The cubs are transitioning from a milk-based diet to solid protein. Their specialized carnassial teeth, the biological shears of the feline family, are now developed enough to slice through muscle tissue. Feeding is a synchronized, highly efficient process. While the cubs eagerly ingest the high-density amino acids necessary for their rapid growth, the mother fiercely consumes her share to replenish the massive caloric deficit incurred during the hunt and the clash. Hidden safely within the dense foliage, the family shares the prize in absolute silence to avoid detection. In the complex ecosystem of the Western Ghats, survival is a constant, unforgiving transfer of energy. With the meal consumed, the biological imperative shifts from aggression to restoration. The adrenaline that fueled the intense conflict dissipates, replaced by the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's essential rest and digest state. This intimate physical interaction, allogrooming, is far more than mere affection. It is a vital survival tactic. Her abrasive, papillae-covered tongue acts as a biological comb, meticulously stripping away the scent of blood that could betray their location to rival predators. As the Earth's rotation alters the angle of solar radiation, the visible light spectrum shifts. Twilight descends upon the ancient canopy. The Western Ghats never sleep. As diurnal activity ceases, a new demographic of apex predators awakens. In this pristine wilderness, the unending cycle of energy exchange simply turns the page.
Stretching across the equator, this is not merely a landmass. It is a tectonic crucible, the original biological engine of planet Earth. Forged by extreme thermodynamic shifts, Africa sustains the greatest concentration of megafauna in existence. Here, every drop of water is fiercely contested. To survive this landscape is to master the ultimate evolutionary algorithm. Where the grass turns to dust, there are kings crowned not in gold, but in scarred horn. The Cape buffalo carries the ancient wrath of the earth, a looming shadow that simply refuses to bow. And across the silence, the golden ghosts of the savannah hold their breath. The lionesses do not merely stalk, they perform a silent, deadly waltz with the wind, melting into the mirage. This is no longer a hunt. It is a primal vendetta written in the dust. The air grows impossibly thick, waiting for a single heartbeat to shatter the peace. An unyielding wall of wrath, seemingly unbroken. But the golden ghosts know, even the mightiest fortress of flesh and bone harbors a fatal flaw. At the water's edge, a fragile life lowers its head, momentarily stepping out from the shadow of the fortress. For the golden ghosts, this innocence is not to be pitied. It is the perfect seam in the armor, the ultimate irresistible invitation. An agonizing, desperate cry shatters the tranquility of the plains. The ancient kings lift their crowned heads. The agony of one ignites the slumbering fury of the collective. Bound by an unbreakable covenant, the fortress charges. An avalanche of black muscle and scarred bones surges across the dust, bringing the earth-shattering wrath of the herd to rescue their own. Like black arrows loosed from the bow of the earth itself, thousands of scarred kings descend. This is the wrath of the collective, moving with terrifying, unstoppable singularity. In a solitary duel, the feline shadow is an unparalleled sovereign of death. But in the face of an endless ocean of horn and muscle, individual supremacy is utterly consumed. The Black Fortress closes its walls, crushing the golden ghosts beneath the sheer weight of numbers. To bleed in the wild is a sentence of slow death. Forced to weigh the heavy price of a meal against their own lives, the apex tacticians make a bitter choice. They relinquish their prize. Survival demands the surrender of pride. But the covenant of the herd demands retribution. The withdrawal of the enemy does not extinguish the flames. In a spectacular reversal of the natural order, the prey becomes the relentless punisher. The hunters are swept away by a tidal wave of vengeance. Stripped of their crown, the undisputed monarchs of the plains are forced into a humiliating exile, seeking refuge in the branches above. Below them, the sea of horns roars in absolute glorious triumph. The golden ghosts watch from their wooden exile. Their pride is severely bruised, but their lives remain intact. In the grand theater of the wild, defeat is never a disgrace. It is simply the heavy toll of tomorrow. The dust of chaos settles into the earth. The kings will graze, the ghosts will hunt again, and the unforgiving, beautifully ruthless rhythm of Africa plays on. As the golden light pierces the acacia canopy, the savannah exhales the chill of the night. High above the dust, a vibrant arboreal society awakens. For the agile residents of this leafy kingdom, dawn is a time of intricate social bonding and relentless foraging. Protected by the dense labyrinth of branches, they believe themselves untouchable, but the canopy is a treacherous illusion of safety. By venturing to the exposed edge of the leaves, a single individual has just stepped onto nature's most unforgiving stage. Thousands of feet above, drifting silently on rising thermals, the true sovereign of the skies looks down, the martial eagle, a majestic titan of the air. It does not patrol, it reigns supreme. Endowed with vision multiple times more acute than a human's, its eyes act as biological telescopes. From the stratosphere, it isolates a single rustle of a leaf. The target is locked. The execution is calculated. Folding its massive wings, the eagle weaponizes gravity itself. It transforms from a soaring monarch into a biological missile, plummeting towards the canopy at terrifying terminal velocity. In a fraction of a second, the struggle ends. Lifted effortlessly into the abyss of the sky, the primate's fate is sealed. Down below, the canopy falls into a traumatized, deathly silence. But nature carries no malice. This violent execution is merely a biological transaction. High atop the world, the fallen monkey serves its ultimate ecological purpose, fueling the relentless growth of the next generation of kings. Beyond its raw power, the eagle remains one of evolution's most mysterious masterpieces. Its talons exert a crushing force capable of snapping bone instantly, an anatomical perfection refined over millions of years of predatory dominance. It asks no permission. It recognizes no borders. In the grand, unyielding tapestry of the savannah, the eagle stands as the ultimate arbiter of the skies, a majestic phantom, ruling the winds until the end of time. Dawn on the savannah. Ambient temperature sits at 18 degrees Celsius. This is the optimal thermodynamic window for apex endurance hunters. The African wild dog, Lycaon pictus. Their oversized ears are not just acoustic radars, they are dense capillary networks functioning as thermoregulators, dissipating core heat during prolonged high-speed pursuits. Navigating the tall grass, the pack engages in active environmental processing. Their binocular vision and directional hearing overlap. Operating in this dispersed line, they create a synchronized sensory grid, detecting the slightest kinetic shift in the savannah. The yellow stalks provide effective camouflage for herbivores. In response, this wide frontal assault acts as a biological net, mechanically designed to flush concealed targets out of the brush. High-frequency twitters synchronize their positioning without alerting larger prey. The pack fundamentally alters its operational mode. High-speed pursuit parameters are deactivated. They lower their center of gravity, adopting a predatory crawl. They are now operating entirely in stealth. Their objective is elevated, a basalt outcrop, a natural geological stronghold that serves as a thermal sink during the night and a tactical fortress by day. Here, a troop of olive baboons, numbering over 40 individuals, has established their high-ground sanctuary. The early morning light initiates a critical neurochemical protocol within the baboon troop, allogrooming. This behavior transcends physical hygiene. The tactile stimulation triggers the release of endorphins and oxytocin, simultaneously lowering cortisol levels while solidifying their complex hierarchical alliances. A troop of this density presents a formidable defensive matrix. The adult males act as perimeter sentinels. Biologically equipped with canines measuring up to 5 centimeters exceeding those of a leopard, they represent a lethal, high-risk variable for any approaching predator. Even after the allogrooming protocol, the troop remains anchored to the basalt outcrop. This elevated topography provides a dual biological advantage: maximum solar exposure to rapidly elevate their core body temperature after the cold savanna night, and an unobstructed 360-degree visual sweep of the surrounding biome. Within this high-ground sanctuary, internal hierarchy dictates spatial positioning. The dominant alpha males occupy the outermost perimeters. Functioning as an early warning radar system, their binocular vision scans the yellow grass for kinetic anomalies. Their physical presence deters terrestrial threats from attempting a vertical assault. In the protected center, juveniles engage in high-energy mock combat. This is not merely play, it is a critical neurological simulation. They are developing the fast-twitch muscle fibers and spatial awareness required to survive future predator encounters. All while constant low-frequency vocalizations maintain an acoustic tether between the 40 individuals. For the baboons, every day is a biological war, caught between caloric starvation and the savannah's hidden threats. Every decision is a calculated risk. Here, one miscalculation means death. Below the outcrop, the wild dogs remain locked in their stealth formation. A direct upward charge against an alert baboon troop is biologically unviable. The canines are engaged in a game of thermodynamic patience, waiting for a single juvenile or subadult to miscalculate their spatial boundaries and step too close to the precipice. An underdeveloped threat perception overrides survival instincts. Driven by a caloric deficit, a naive juvenile steps outside the troop's safety zone, a fatal geometric error. The sensory trigger is pulled. The wild dogs instantly transition from stealth to maximum kinetic output, deploying a synchronized intercept trajectory. Through a suffocating high-speed encirclement, the juvenile is forced into a dead end fractions of a second before the alpha males can unleash a counter-strike. In a desperate biomechanical reflex, the juvenile exploits the canine's anatomical limitation, a lack of arboreal adaptation. It ascends a solitary acacia, a temporary vertical refuge. From the high branches, the juvenile emits a high decibel distress frequency. This is not merely a cry of fear. It is a highly evolved acoustic beacon designed to pierce the savannah's ambient noise. It carries a specific biometric signature, triggering a hardwired neurochemical alarm within the troop. The acoustic signal triggers an instant adrenaline cascade. Abandoning all foraging protocols, the alpha males mobilize into an offensive phalanx. Driven to protect their genetic investment, a multi-ton wave of primate muscle and lethal canines surges toward the tree. The siege is shattered by sheer, overwhelming kinetic force. The collision is instantaneous. Driven by kin selection, the alpha males unleash a blunt force trauma assault. Wielding 5-centimeter canines, this multi-ton wave of primate muscle shatters the dog's siege protocol. It is an asymmetrical territorial defense, neutralizing the threat in seconds and safely retrieving the juvenile. Outweighed and outweaponized, the canine neurocircuitry abruptly switches from predatory aggression to absolute panic. In the ruthless economics of the savannah, a primate bite means septicemia and certain death. The pack dissolves into an uncoordinated retreat. But surviving the counterattack is only their first hurdle. As the adrenaline crash hits, a terrifying physiological reality sets in. They have expended a massive amount of metabolic energy for a zero-caloric return. Scattering into the dry grass, the pack's highly organized neural network devolves into a chaotic flight response. Hyperventilating and visibly panicked, the wild dogs are consumed by a profound behavioral trauma. The immediate terror of the primate's blunt force counterstrike quickly morphs into an existential dread. Their biological clock is now ticking exponentially faster. Prolonged starvation will inevitably compromise their immune systems and shatter their coordinated hunting matrix. This single disastrous ambush has pushed the terrified canines to the absolute brink of caloric bankruptcy. While the baboons stabilize their acoustic tether, the desperate dogs must keep moving, haunted by the savannah's ultimate apex equation: hunt successfully or perish. This is not a tactical withdrawal. It is a blind, adrenaline-fueled rout. Tails tucked and ears pinned flat, classic morphological markers of acute subordination. They scramble erratically over the abrasive terrain. The pack's collective mind has been hijacked by the reptilian brain, driven purely by a singular imperative: put maximum distance between themselves and the primate fury. Deep within the troop's concentric core, a maternal reunion occurs. The mother retrieves her juvenile. This intense tactile interaction allogrooming triggers a massive release of oxytocin, effectively degrading the residual cortisol from the morning's trauma. The troop's fractured social matrix is chemically and physically seamlessly repaired. As the solar angle diminishes, the savannah undergoes a rapid thermodynamic shift. The diurnal cycle draws to a close. For the Papio Anubis troop, this diminishing light signals an immediate behavioral transition, abandoning all foraging protocols to retreat into an elevated nocturnal fortress. The Masai Mara, an ancient sea of grass, bound by the unforgiving extremes of the dry season. Surface water evaporates, and usable plant biomass drops rapidly. Every organism here operates near its physiological limit. Survival under this equatorial sun demands strict thermoregulation. Energy is hoarded. Movement is calculated. The waiting game begins. Scattered across this baked topography, vast assemblies of herbivores maintain a fragile stasis. They serve as the ecosystem's primary processors, extracting fractional nutrients from sun-bleached cellulose. Processing this abrasive diet requires highly specialized digestive fermentation. Every movement is economized to maximize nutrient extraction while minimizing moisture loss under the relentless sun. Exposed on the open grass, the African rock python relies on disruptive camouflage. As a heavy-bodied ambush predator, it conserves energy by not chasing. Specialized pit organs along its jaw detect the infrared radiation of warm-blooded herbivores, mapping the environment through heat signatures. Nearby, the savannah's apex predators adopt a different strategy. The lion pride enters a state of physiological dormancy, resting up to 20 hours a day to prevent hyperthermia. Mammalian cooling systems deplete internal moisture reserves. The pride must replenish fluids, converging on the ecosystem's remaining surface water. The aquatic environment provides thermal stability and camouflage for ectotherms. The African rock python uses water to mask its scent, leaving only its infrared sensing pits exposed. Utilizing fluid dynamics, the python advances without surface disturbance. Engrossed in hydration, the lioness experiences complete sensory masking. The ectotherm enters critical strike range, entirely undetected. The heat-sensing pits lock onto the lioness's thermal signature. Evaluating the target's biological mass, the python coils its musculature, priming for an explosive kinetic strike. The strike is instantaneous. Propelled by massive axial muscles, The python breaks the surface, utilizing rapid kinetic momentum to immediately envelop the feline's torso within heavy, prehensile coils. With every exhalation the lioness makes, the muscular coils tighten. Thoracic compression restricts lung expansion, rapidly depleting cellular oxygen and flooding her muscles with paralyzing lactic acid. Immobilized, the lioness triggers a final survival mechanism: acoustic distress signals. Low-frequency calls are broadcasted to summon the pride. The python maintains its lethal grip. Sensory scales track the lioness's fading heartbeat, pinpointing the exact moment of physiological collapse. The distress call instantly ignites the pride. Over a ton of combined apex muscle surges forward in a massive synchronized charge, shaking the ground as they rush to the riverbank. Reaching the riverbank, the lion pride launches a coordinated defense. The lions target the python's spine with extreme bite force, physically breaking its heavy muscular contraction. Facing the entire lion pride, the python risks a fatal severed spine. The biological cost becomes too high. Survival instinct overrides the hunt, forcing the snake to release its grip and retreat. The lethal grip is broken. As oxygen rushes back into the lioness's depleted muscles, she survives thanks to the savannah's ultimate evolutionary weapon, the unified power of the lion pride. As the golden hour bathes the savannah, order returns to the pride. In the soft twilight, they engage in gentle social grooming. This tactile exchange is more than affection. It releases calming endorphins, weaving the chemical bonds that make the pride an unbreakable unit. The punishing heat dissipates, replaced by cool evening thermals. Sprawled across the earth, the apex predators embrace the stillness, their bodies seamlessly blending into the fading colors of the landscape. A fleeting moment of savanna poetry, yet their sensory network remains sharp. As dusk falls, the pride rests, conserving energy for the night.
Along the Alaska-Canada border, the winter taiga is not just a frozen wasteland. It is a crystalline acoustic battlefield. At -40 degrees, extreme air density completely alters the physics of sound. The frozen snowpack functions as a massive sensory web. Every footfall generates seismic microvibrations that carry for miles. To hunt in this labyrinth, predators must master the science of structural dampening. But this absolute stealth carries an exorbitant metabolic cost. For the mother lynx, delivering a kitten into a subarctic winter is a biological paradox. The newborn lynx emerges encased in amniotic fluid, facing instant, lethal hypothermia in the frigid air. Securing her kitten in the thermal safety of the den, the mother lynx steps back into the frozen void to hunt for crucial calories.
Navigating the frozen taiga, the mother lynx shifts into active predation. Her stalk is a masterclass in biomechanical fluid dynamics. She is in constant motion, yet completely tethered to the silence of the forest. Despite her mass, she moves like a phantom. Her oversized, densely furred paws function as biological snowshoes, maximizing surface area to minimize ground pressure, preventing the fragile snow crust from fracturing beneath her weight. Safely tucked away in the den, her kitten waits. It relies strictly on the combustion of brown adipose tissue, a localized biological furnace that staves off lethal hypothermia without the need for shivering. High above the frozen canopy, an apex aerial assassin owns the night. The great horned owl utilizes serrated feather edges to slice through aerodynamic turbulence, effectively erasing all acoustic frequencies of its flight. It doesn't rely on vision alone. Asymmetrical ear cavities triangulate the faintest micro-vibrations on the forest floor, locking onto a target's exact coordinates with mathematical precision before the prey even registers a threat.
While the mother lynx is miles away, a fatal biological misstep occurs. The kitten breaches the den's insulating barrier. The target is locked. Folding its wings to enter a free-fall dive, the owl strikes like a phantom. 4 needle-sharp talons pierce with crushing force, snatching the kitten from the snow and effortlessly carrying it into the frozen sky, leaving behind a deadly silence. The owl's flight path intersects with the diurnal apex predator, the golden eagle. In this frozen wasteland, calories are so scarce that the eagle engages in kleptoparasitism, the deliberate theft of another hunter's kill. Spotting the target with ultra-high-resolution vision, the eagle folds its wings into a ballistic dive. The kitten survives completely unharmed. Meanwhile, the aerial dogfight reaches its inevitable conclusion. Superior in sheer mass and kinetic power, the golden eagle completely overpowers the owl, claiming absolute dominance over the frozen sky. Guided by faint olfactory cues, the mother lynx finally tracks down her kitten. The reunion triggers a powerful surge of oxytocin. Stress hormones vanish as they restore their thermal bond, proving that in the brutal taiga, a mother's warmth is the ultimate sanctuary. Beyond the taiga, glacial peaks reflect solar radiation back into the atmosphere, locking the ecosystem in a permanent thermodynamic freeze. Yet, life here doesn't just endure the frost, it synchronizes with it. In this frozen world, survival is the ultimate triumph of biological engineering, achieving perfect equilibrium with the absolute cold.
Here, life does not simply exist, it marches, and the wildebeest are the undeniable pulse of these plains. Gathered by the millions, they are driven by an ancient, inescapable biological clock. Right now, it dictates only one thing: refuel. In this shimmering heat, the herd appears entirely at peace. Their synchronized grazing engineers the savannah. By stripping the coarse stalks, they return vital nutrients to the exhausted earth. But on the savannah, peace is merely an illusion, a brief, fragile pause before the hunters awaken. Out here, a single misstep is a fatal liability. There is no compassion in the wild. In the brutal calculus of survival, the vulnerable simply become an involuntary shield for the strong. The the savannah is not at peace. It is merely holding its breath. In the oppressive midday heat, the apex predators of the savannah appear remarkably subdued. A pride can sleep up to 20 hours a day. It is not lethargy, but a highly evolved strategy of energy conservation. But hunger is a persistent alarm clock, and the matriarchs are always the first to answer its call. Her amber eyes possess 6 times the light sensitivity of a human. She is not just observing, she is calculating distance and isolating the vulnerable. Every subtle shift in the wind is analyzed to mask her scent, and every tuft of dry grass is mapped as potential cover. The rest of the world fades away, leaving only the precise geometry of the impending ambush. A few hundred yards away, the wildebeest remain anchored in a false sense of security. The wind sweeps across the plains, carrying their scent directly to the predators, masking the danger downwind. The lion's muscles stretch, preparing for anaerobic bursts of speed. Every member of the pride instinctively understands their role in the complex geometry of the ambush. The syndicate is mobilized. The savannah is a theater of profound indifference. The sun beats down on the dry earth, oblivious to the drama about to unfold. In this vast arena, survival is dictated by mere inches and fractions of a second. Yet, beneath this tranquil facade, nature remains ruthlessly impartial. It takes no sides. It merely provides the stage for the drama ahead. The script has already been written by millions of years of evolution. All that is left is the execution. And on this stage, the opening act is about to be written in dust and instinct. And the lead predator is already in position. The lead lioness utilizes the sun-bleached grass as a perfect cloak of invisibility. Walking on her toes, she minimizes contact with the dry foliage. Her shoulder blades absorb the impact, ensuring complete silence. She becomes a ghost in the grass. Head lowered to the earth, the wildebeest's field of vision is drastically reduced, a fatal blind spot. The lioness must close the gap to within 30 yards. She presses her belly flat against the scorching earth, exploiting every minor depression in the terrain to stay completely out of sight. Suddenly, a shift in behavior. The chewing stops. The ears flick forward. Has a shifting breeze betrayed the hunters? Or is it an instinctual premonition carved by millions of years of evolution? The tension becomes palpable. The silence is deafening. The lioness knows her cover is blown. Stealth must now be traded for explosive power. Her massive hind legs engage, propelling her forward with terrifying acceleration. The ambush is over. In a fraction of a second, the lioness's heart rate doubles, flooding her muscles with oxygen for the ultimate sprint. Her entire being is locked onto the target. From here on out, the slightest hesitation will turn a perfect ambush into total failure. The ancient dance of predator and prey has officially begun. The savannah shatters. Panic seizes the lone wildebeest, triggering a desperate flight for survival. lioness erupts from the sun-scorched grass. At full sprint, she covers 50 feet a second. Her spine flexes like a coiled spring, maximizing each explosive stride. This is a deadly high-stakes race against her own rapidly rising body temperature. A collective wave of panic ripples through the herd, turning thousands of individuals into a single, fleeing organism. Panic seizes the lone wildebeest, triggering a desperate flight for survival. For the wildebeest, survival is brutally simple. You don't have to be the fastest in the herd, you just can't be the slowest. The swirling dust and a maze of galloping hooves are a defensive mechanism, designed to disorient the predator's focus. The gap closes. The impact is catastrophic. The lioness uses her formidable weight, nearly 300 pounds of pure muscle, and momentum to unbalance the fleeing wildebeest, grounding the heavy herbivore with calculated precision. The wildebeest's struggle inevitably subsides. The lioness clamps her powerful jaws over the prey's windpipe, applying hundreds of pounds of pressure to induce a swift, oxygen-deprived end to the ancient chase. This exhausting hunt is a triumph, securing a massive influx of calories, enough vital protein to sustain the lionesses for several days. The scent of a fresh wildebeest kill travels fast, acting as a beacon for opportunistic scavengers like hyenas and vultures. For now, however, the lion pride has earned its feast, metabolizing this vital energy to fuel the next generation of apex predators. The lion pride's feast begins. Nothing goes to waste on the savannah. To access the nutrient-rich meat, the lionesses must first breach the wildebeest's tough hide. They utilize specialized carnassial teeth at the back of their jaws, acting like biological shears to slice through thick skin and muscle with devastating efficiency. The hunters instinctively target the nutrient-dense internal organs first, the liver, heart, and kidneys, extracting maximum vitamins and trace minerals essential for their survival in this harsh environment. An adult lioness can consume up to a quarter of her own body weight in a single sitting. Her highly acidic stomach is perfectly adapted to rapidly digest massive quantities of raw protein, neutralizing potential pathogens found in the wild meat. As the pride gorges themselves, they are inadvertently preparing the carcass for the ecosystem's secondary consumers. Vultures and hyenas circle the perimeter, waiting for their turn at the ecological table. The wildebeest's sacrifice is converted into vital energy, ensuring the reign of these apex predators continues over this golden realm for another day. Mere hundreds of yards from the kill site, a jarring tranquility reclaims the savannah. The surviving wildebeest herd transitions instantly from primal panic to serene indifference. This rapid emotional reset is not callousness, but a vital evolutionary adaptation. Herbivores cannot afford to expend precious calories on lingering stress. In this wild kingdom, death is merely a brief interruption to the relentless rhythm of life. Dawn breaks over the African savannah, igniting a timeless crucible of life. Peace is merely a fleeting illusion, and survival is a currency earned by the second. The wildebeest begin their restless harvest. They are the chaotic engine of these plains, dynamic lawnmowers transforming dust into life. The giraffe, an evolutionary masterpiece. By conquering the canopy, they exploit resources untouched by rivals, operating as the savannah's living watchtowers. In this empire, a war is coming. A zebra's stripes are not for beauty. They are a calculated defense, a blinding canvas of motion dazzle, designed to shatter a predator's depth perception. A few miles away, the river provides a brief sanctuary. Spotted hyenas, often misunderstood as mindless scavengers, they are, in fact, one of Africa's most successful and highly intelligent predators. Here, in the water, they lower their core body temperature. It's not just play, it's preparation. But the hyenas' downtime abruptly ends. A shift in the breeze carries the scent of opportunity. Led by an alpha female, the clan locks onto their target. Their awkward gait is deeply deceptive. They aren't built for a quick sprint. They are relentless pursuit predators, engineered to run their prey into the ground. Blissfully unaware, the zebras continue their slow, rhythmic march. There is no tension here, just a peaceful drift across the wild plains. The hyenas halt. Now, the hunt begins. Oblivious to the eyes burning into them, the striped sentinels march on. Total silence, no iconic laughter. The hyenas use subtle ear flicks and body language to orchestrate their next move. The predators slip into the dry brush. Their spotted coats, acting as disruptive coloration, melt perfectly into the dappled shadows. They become ghosts in the grass. The zebra's pace slows. The heat breeds a false sense of security. The trap is set. The hyenas fan out, forming a wide crescent. A classic flanking maneuver to cut off escape routes. They don't need the perfect ambush. They just need panic. Once they force the zebras to scatter, the illusion breaks, and the hyenas will run their chosen target to absolute exhaustion. Muscles coil, hearts race. The savannah holds its breath as the hyenas prepare to unleash chaos. In a split second, the silence shatters as the hyenas break cover and charge towards the zebras. The zebras continue to graze. Each mouthful of grass drops their line of sight, anchoring them to the earth while danger coils just out of view. Suddenly, the hyenas surge forward. They launch their assault, closing the gap with terrifying efficiency. There is no roar, only the rapid thud of paws hitting the dry earth. A shift in the acoustic landscape alerts the zebras. Swiveling ears catch the approaching threat, and in an instant, grazing turns to flight. As the zebras sprint, their stripes merge into a dizzying wave of optical distortion, designed to confuse the hyenas' visual tracking. But the hyenas do not push for maximum speed. They settle into a rhythmic, relentless pursuit. Pounding across the plains, the zebras sprint for survival. The hyenas, built for unparalleled stamina, simply maintain their pace, slowly chipping away at the gap. The zebras push their massive lungs to the limit, pounding across the savannah in a desperate bid for distance. Believing they have gained enough ground, the zebras abruptly halt. They turn to observe and rely on their sharp eyesight to measure the remaining danger. It is a fatal miscalculation. The hyenas crest the ridge, bringing them right into striking range. Panic sets in. The zebras freeze. They stand completely still, locked in a state of high-stress paralysis. The hyenas complete their maneuver. The crescent closes into a tight circle, and the zebras are surrounded. The hyenas strike. They do not aim for the throat. They target the hind legs. A brutal tactic designed to cripple the zebra's mobility. Every bite is a calculated attempt to anchor a 1,000-pound animal to the earth. The savannah watches. To them, the zebra's fight means one thing: the hyenas are occupied, and the plains are temporarily safe. But the zebras are far from defenseless. Driven by pure adrenaline, they fight back. A zebra's hind kick delivers over 2,000 pounds of force, enough to instantly shatter a predator's skull. They group together, turning their defensive panic into an offensive wall of striking hooves and snapping teeth. The math changes. Facing an unacceptable risk of severe injury, the hyena's assault is broken. The wild absorbs the violence, remaining entirely indifferent to the struggles of its inhabitants. Silence slowly reclaims the landscape. Beaten and exhausted, the hyenas retreat. In the wild, every hunt is an economic equation. When the cost of energy and the risk of physical damage outweigh the reward, predators must yield. They walk away with empty stomachs, preserving their lives for the next pursuit. For the zebras, survival comes with a price. They gather to tend to the injured. This behavior, known as allogrooming, is about much more than cleaning wounds. The physical contact releases endorphins, lowering their heart rates and rapidly neutralizing the trauma of the battle. Their social bond is the true key to their resilience. As the sun dips below the horizon, the temperature drops, and the rules of the savannah transform. Day transitions to dusk, painting the sky in fiery hues. The failing light will soon strip the zebras of their visual advantage. It is a brief moment of tranquility, the closing chapter of today's crucible. The Serengeti, a vast golden crucible, operating at the very limits of biological endurance. As surface temperatures soar past 50 degrees Celsius, the moisture vanishes. The savannah enters a state of physiological dormancy. In this blinding theater of light, survival is no longer just a race against the hunter. It is a silent, masterful game of thermal economics. The dry season haunts the Serengeti. An endless plain of withered grass stretches to the horizon. The morning sun rises, revealing a cracked and thirsty earth. The herds must feed before the heat of the day sets in. The grass is dry and brittle. It offers almost no water, but hunger drives them. The morning calm is an illusion. They eat, but their senses are working in overdrive. Ears pivot independently, listening to the dry grass. Wide eyes scan the horizon. Out here, a single moment of distraction is fatal. On this scorched plain, there are no shadows to hide behind. A solitary hunter must melt into the barren earth itself, a leopard she hasn't eaten in days. Out here, the dry season strips away all margins for error. Her ribs press against her coat, but a starving predator is a focused one. Hunger sharpens every instinct. She navigates the shifting brush. Her spotted coat dissolves into the dry thicket. Perfect camouflage. Specialized pads on her paws absorb the sound of her own weight. She is reading the chemical trails left in the dust. The predator observes a dense cluster of healthy adults. Attacking such a tightly packed group carries a massive biomechanical risk. A single defensive kick from a mature animal possesses enough blunt force to shatter a leopard's rib. In this harsh environment, a fractured bone is a death sentence. The feline brain constantly calculates the probability of injury. Therefore, she abandons this approach and moves along the perimeter. She targets another flank of the grazing herd. Suddenly, the wind shifts. Scent molecules are carried forward, instantly compromising the predator's stealth advantage. Furthermore, the animals in this sector are highly alert, offering a poor probability of a successful kill. The thermal energy burned in a sprint must yield a guaranteed caloric return. Every hunt follows a ruthless biological equation of energy return on investment. The savannah is crowded with hundreds of moving animals. To overcome the visual confusion of the herd, the predator's visual cortex must filter the chaotic data. She scans the mass and isolates a single anomaly on the periphery, a slight hesitation in its gait, a momentary lapse in vigilance. Instantly, the autonomic nervous system takes over. Her heart rate drops to stabilize the core. Sustained muscular tension generates massive internal heat. Yet, the respiratory rate must be suppressed. A single pant broadcasts an acoustic warning. The predator operates on the borderline of physiological overheating and absolute stealth. Pupils dilate to maximize visual input. Muscle fibers tense, storing kinetic energy. The biological lock-on is complete. The physical gap must be closed. The leopard's skeleton is engineered for absolute stealth. Free-floating collarbones act as biological shock absorbers. They cushion the body's weight, preventing any vibration from reaching the ground. Every step is calculated to avoid a single sound. The predator slowly enters the critical ambush radius. The predator faces a formidable biological defense. The zebra herd operates as a unified sensory network. Laterally positioned eyes provide a near 360-degree field of vision. Dozens of ears constantly scan the acoustic environment. To approach, the leopard must navigate blind spots that barely exist. A micro shift in the air currents carries a foreign scent molecule. Alternatively, they detect the sudden, unnatural silence of local insects. The zebras cannot see the threat, but their nervous systems register the environmental anomaly. Muscle fibers twitch in anticipation. The leopard instantly freezes. The psychological standoff begins. The leopard breaches the flight initiation distance. Instantly, the zebra's endocrine systems release massive surges of adrenaline. Heart rates violently spike. The biological tension reaches a critical threshold. The predator must strike right now, before the herd's self-preservation instincts completely override their hesitation. The herd's sensory network detects an environmental anomaly. The zebras instantly freeze, entering a state of hypervigilance. Fleeing blindly without a directional vector is statistically lethal. It risks running directly into an ambush. Their sympathetic nervous systems are fully primed, yet they hold their ground. The predator is forced into absolute stillness. A psychological standoff begins. ambush is triggered, the leopard's fast-twitch muscle fibers ignite, converting stored energy into lethal acceleration. The savannah erupts into absolute chaos. As the zebras flee, their overlapping stripes generate a phenomenon known as motion dazzle. This high-contrast optical illusion directly disrupts the feline's visual cortex. It destroys depth perception and makes isolating a single target incredibly difficult. The predator is forced to calculate her attack trajectory through a moving maze of flashing patterns. The leopard's fast-twitch muscle fibers ignite, converting stored glycogen into explosive kinetic energy. She accelerates to top speed in mere seconds. The hunt instantly shifts from absolute stealth to pure biomechanical power. As the zebras flee, their overlapping stripes generate a phenomenon known as motion dazzle. This high-contrast optical illusion directly disrupts the feline's visual cortex. The physical gap is closed. The leopard deploys her retractable claws, acting as biological grappling hooks to anchor onto the target's mass. She aims directly for the trachea, attempting to secure a rapid asphyxiation hold. For a fleeting microsecond, the apex predator dominates the kinetic exchange. But the prey refuses to succumb. A high-frequency distress vocalization pierces the air. This acoustic signal triggers an aggressive, altruistic response from the herd. Instead of scattering, the zebras pivot. They weaponize their sheer numbers, initiating a coordinated mobbing behavior to encircle the attacker. The power dynamic violently reverses. Equines possess massively dense hindquarters, capable of delivering blunt force trauma exceeding 1,000 pounds per square inch. A single connected kick can easily shatter a feline skull. The leopard's lightweight skeletal frame, evolved strictly for aerodynamic speed, is profoundly outmatched in a physical brawl. The savannah dictates a brutal equilibrium. There are no ultimate victors, only temporary survivors in an ongoing evolutionary arms race. Today, the herd's defensive matrix neutralized the feline's kinetic strike. For the leopard, the physiological countdown to starvation accelerates. For the zebras, the rhythmic cycle of the plains continues.